All right, let me set you up. Okay, so this is Tecumseh 5.5 horsepower engine, right? It's essentially the Snow King. Many of you would recognize this as the Snow King. So what's going on in this video? Because it's like an hour long. So everything's in chapters, and I'm going to go through this engine, and for you guys. Now this engine, this is for the sort of retro hot rod mini bike project for Mike, where I took a Doodlebug frame. And it's slightly, it's a newer style mini bike. A simple, cheap, cheesy Chinese, style mini bike where most people would go out and put a Predator engine on it, and there's tons of videos out there on that. Now we're going old school hot rod because that's really what I am. It's where I come from. I went through a whole bunch of engines last year, so all of this is in the folder for Mike's mini bike, a retro bike. Just from parting out all these different engines and machines, I like a lot of these engines. Now, I prefer the bigger, like 8 horsepower and etc. But this is really the same thing. So if anybody out there wants to see not only what I did to this engine to get it to run so good, to power up this bike, but also if you're just interested in Tecumseh engines and you want to see a little bit more of what's inside or what I do to kind of tweak and tune them and get them running really good, well, that's in this video. It's all in chapters. But of course, I took it a little bit further because it's going on a hot rod mini bike. So let me just describe to you what I did and what the chapters are and what you expect to see. Go in the description and you'll see essentially the labels and the brief description of what's in each chapter. So last year, I went over a whole bunch of engines to find a good candidate, and we wound up with this one. So that's already in this folder, and that's from last year. Tested a bunch of carburetors. Now, in this engine here, as one of the chapters, is we're going to be using a particular replacement carburetor from Hipa. So big shout out to them for helping support this video and this channel and partly sponsored this project. And this carburetor is very tunable. So that's going to be a separate chapter. I'm going to show you what I was fooling around with versus what we chose. And then at the end of the video, I'm actually going to be doing the tuning on it. So you'll see some, a little bit of tuning tips and tricks. You just get an idea of what the hell it is I did. And then I'll talk a little bit more about that in the outro as well, about a little bit better definition as to what I did. If it's helpful at all, I'll try to keep it short. So we got the motor, popped the head off. We ran it. We found it was basically the best motor. And I put it up on the bench. It's pretty clean. I gave it a quick rinse and take the head off, take the shrouds off and all of that, and get a peek in there and see what's going on. So we're going to pull the valves, and we're going to polish up the valves and lap the seats and the valves, and we're going to polish a little bit inside the ports a little bit. Of course, while we're there, because we have the head off, we're going to do a quick hone on it. We'll talk about a little bit about what I do, how fast I move on this, what not to do, what to stay away from, and what the intention is. Put that back together. We're going to go over the ignition system. Now, remember, these are electronic ignitions, so you're going to get a shot of actually a couple of older motors, one of them with points. I thought this is another good aspect because we could use a slightly newer engine. I don't know what the date is. I didn't bother to look, but electronic ignition. So we're going to kind of go through that, recap it, clean everything up, put everything back together again. It just takes time to go through all this and get everything cleaned up. And then we'll do a bench test outside, and that's when I'm going to be doing my tweaking and my tuning. So stay tuned for all that. That'll all be in the chapters. That and more will be inside this video. So let's get started on it. I'll see you guys in a minute. All right. We're back on a 5.5 Tecumseh for Mikey's mini bike. And this is the one that we decided on. And we ran it. But there's a few things I want to do. Let's get this thing really cleaned up. I'm going to tear it apart. Not completely, but mostly. We'll get the carburetor off, the gas tank. We'll get all the covers off. We'll basically blow it apart. We're going to get it cleaned up a little bit. And we want to go over it. We'll even take the head off and we'll check in there. I got another carburetor for it. I got a nice Hipa carburetor. We'll look into all of that tomorrow after I take it apart. I'll bring you in as we go. we just cracked this open, and it looks real good, fellas. Well, that figures too, because it ran well, and we got really good compression on it. That's a separate video. I could even see a little bit of the crosshatch. And no matter where I look, and I'll check this footage, a tiny little piece of something in there, but I don't catch anything. She looks real good, fellas. There's not any like real buildup. Look at this, like very little carbon on that. All right, so I'm going to start cleaning this a little. Maybe I'm going to empty the oil. I might want to take it over to the degreaser tank or just over to the slop tank. We'll get this cleaned off a little bit, and we'll bring it back. So everything's pretty much in great shape, but we're going to give everything a rinse tonight. I got a late start, and normally I would use the electric pressure washer, but everything's frozen, and it's getting dark. So we're over here. I'm just going to slop this up with some Super Clean. Thanks, Super Clean, right? And kind of letting it soak and coming over, and I'll do this, and then we'll get this out of the bin, blow it out, clean it off, rinse it off, whatever, and lay it out, and then we'll get to the other stuff. We'll see how it comes out tomorrow. If I can get everything clean tonight. Normally I'd use this, but look at the crust in there. Now, most of these small engines, they want us to be, so go to TDC and then go like a 1/4 inch in the hole. All right. Well, that is TDC, and we'll just come down about there, okay? All right, now let's take a look. Let's see what we got. I removed that tube and just put one of these on for now, because, you know, I don't even know where the oil is going to go. So I noticed before I got a 9,000ths in both of them, but 10 didn't want to go. So there's our 9 right in there. Let me stick my hand the other way so you can see it. No, because I'm always going to be in your way, fellas. This is such a small thing. But yeah, you can see. Let me zoom in. So 9 goes no problem. Let's try 10. I tried this before, but I didn't put it, you know, 1/4 in the hole. So the spec says 4 to 10. Well, there's wear on it. See, 10 don't really want to go. I'm pressing on it. All right, so that's our no-go. See, it was kind of stuck. That goes a little bit, but no, it doesn't really want to go. So we're just on the edge of the spec in here. I got it. I actually need a little magnet, a smaller one than this, a little rod magnet. I thought I had one, but I don't. Now we can just pull this up, and there's our exhaust valve. She's a little coked up. We'll look in the other camera in a minute. And now we can just kind of release the tool slowly and let it come down. Now you can leave the springs there if you want, and leave all that there. It's not going to be the end of the world. I don't think we need to take them out. I always forget. So we just want to collapse this all the way and shove it in there and get it as down on the spring as possible. We want to be on that last little spring right there, that last turn. And the smaller tool has got, like, you can grind this finer. You could probably collapse these in a little bit more too. That would help. I don't know if I can do that. Here, let me just do this again. We'll try it one more time. Try to get it wedged in there. And then once you get it in a little bit, you can open the tool up a little bit. There we go. And it's up. And now I just got to figure out how to move that keeper. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. Putting it back is going to be a nightmare. But you know what? You're up here in a nice, comfortable spot. All right. And we just got to kind of let that keeper kind of come back. Okay. There's a step there up top. This one has no step up top. The step is on the bottom. And that's where the lifter is. So this is our intake on the left. And there's a step here too, but yeah. Let's pull that right out. And let me show you. I don't know if this is the better camera for this, but it goes right in there. See that hole? That's the slip hole. It's like a keyhole. And that's where the lock is. And you can see where it goes in there, and you just shove it over. And now it's locked. And spring tension keeps it there. All right, I'm going to go clean up these valves. This engine looks really good. Now let's just take a touch of solvent and Scotch-Brite. They came out really mint. This is like nothing. It's in beautiful shape. But we'll just polish this a little. A little green Scotch-Brite. And a touch of solvent. Oh yeah. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Simple solutions, fellas. For simple minds like mine. So the intake guide looks like it's up higher, but it should be okay. This is the exhaust valve. Let's just see how it fits in. Working in a weird position here. Fits good. Okay. And let's see if it wobbles a lot. Yeah. She's got some wobble to her. Yeah, that'll affect performance. So she could use an exhaust guide. And it's kind of subjective. I mean, you can measure it, but when it's all the way down, it's not so bad. And let me flip it upright and we'll take a look. That fits nice. And let me feel. All right, let's move it. Yeah, the exhaust definitely. So you can get guides and stuff for these. There's ways of making them. You can turn them. You can use the bronze material and put bronze in. You can make, if you got a lathe, all right, you can make all of this stuff. See all that movement? That's a lot. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. So that's going to affect performance. Let's see the intake. We'll do it on the other camera too. Yeah, nowhere near as much, fellas. Look, see, that's correct. You can also get oversized valve stems in some cases, and if you can find the right valves, you can turn your own valves. I'm just going to polish this in here. We're just going to stick it in and just cannot hit the seat, right? So I'm just going to stick it right in there. Just real careful. Don't hit the seat. Just going to clean it. Yeah, that's all. It's just pulling off a little bit on the seat. Yeah, that's nice. And this, we could stick it in the other way. It's just pulling off a lot of that carbon that's in there. And there's a small ridge there too. And it'll pull off anything that's in the way. Oh yeah. A lot of times you get casting flash and stuff, and you can actually go in from the inside too. Yeah, it picked up junk. Quite a bit too. Let's go with the bigger one. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Now, if you really wanted to, you could go in there and you could get all the little issues out. There's a little spot there that we could get rid of, but we don't need to. Let me blow that out. I'm going to blow this out because it's got grit and a little bit of grit and junk. I'll take it over by the door and give it a quick blow, and then we'll lubricate it a little bit, flush it, and wipe it up. That was nasty. I just hit it with a little bit of brake cleaner, and then I think we'll use a little bit of WD. Yeah, she's clean. That's about where we want it. We want to keep it there. Let's get out the lapping tool. You know, it's not bad. It's just, I think we'll take a quick look at the seat before with the other camera before we keep going. Yeah, see? Oh, let me move. Let it focus a little bit. That seat's beautiful. And that seat's a little gross. I got this little guy here, but we'll see if it kind of fits. We don't need to spend much time with it. And I got some paste. I like to make it up with a little bit of toothpaste. I don't need much. Up and down. Don't go too fast. We might have to use the other one. You can hear it cut. You want to zoom in a little? I think you're going to need more light. Yeah, let me get you a little bit more light. It's not cutting as much. Let's take a peek. Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's nice and wide, too. Yeah, let me see if we can get you in. I can't see with my glasses on. Hold on. Yeah, I think that's good, fellas. She's beauteous. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I can see a little heat over here. A little bit of yak. I'll take my polisher and just maybe polish over that real fast. Yeah, and then maybe hit it one more time because I don't want to insult it. Curse at it. Yell at it. Well, that's kind of nice. Oh, yeah. The toothpaste kind of makes it stick. Just don't get any on the valve stem. We already got issues there. That should do it. Just quick. Oh, I can hear it. Yeah, hold on, we got crap on here. We got the bulk of it with the drill. I've actually fixed some minor issues by doing that method. This is working though. We don't need much. But when you lift it up, it kind of disperses, it sort of re-wets the grinding compound. I think that one's breaking. I need some new ones. Oh, yeah. Yep, it's perfect. It's just beautiful. And it's got a nice sort of pattern to it. All right, that's done. And then we'll wipe this off. Let me do the other one. That one should be fine. Yeah, that's plenty. Feels like there might be something in there. No, it's because I burned it a little bit. I hit it with this grinding stone, the sanding disc thing. That's fine. Ooh, that one needed a little bit more. This one's flat, so. It cuts fast, especially with the added toothpaste. It like polishes it. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's see what this looks like. Maybe you can see this end here. Put this stuff away. See, a lot of times what I do is I put them on like the drill. I just make all these different things for it. And when I clean it off, I'll get that other little crappy camera in. But she looks good. Looks real good. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, we clean it off and I'll get a shot. Those valves look nice. Yeah, the seats are good. I can see like one little piece of stain. No, just junk. No, it's just a little junk on there. It looks perfect. At 9, so we got to 10, so we're okay there. The exhaust, I think, was bigger. And there's nothing you can do about that. Let's see how 9 is. Yeah, 9 is good. 10 won't go. It'd be nice if it was tighter. The way to get it tighter is to have a seat cutter and cut a little off the seat and take a scotch off the valve face. So, in a way we did, because I can feel it's a little tighter. In a way we did. Let's take a look at the valve. This is pretty accurate. I mean, we can use a mic if we want, but 248. Oh yeah. About 244. So she's like 4 thousandths out. Just as a guess. So I'll look tomorrow. I mean, it's not a rush. I'll look tomorrow and see if we have a better valve. This valve is okay, but it, you know, a combination from the factory, but also just could be the stem is worn by about 4 thousandths. That's a lot. That's a lot. So we'll poke around, as you can see how much it. This is where it was. This will not go on. Okay, and watch the gauge. Watch the meter. Right? Big time, right? So that's a few thousandths out. So, I mean, you know, I have them. I mean, I got parts motors. They're kind of put away, but if it's not too bad out tomorrow, we can go to the next step. We can do a quick hone. All right, fellas, all we want is enough of a crosshatch. We're not looking to fix anything. Put a little WD in there. And I just want a brake hone. Okay, I just want to put a crosshatch in it. Okay, and we're going to go slow, and we're going to move. Let me find a good speed. I just want to get those rings. Something to grab. All right, let's see. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Yeah, she's putting some crosshatch in. Oh yeah, we're done. Yeah, I don't think we can do much more. Let me get a better look at it. That cleaned it nice. And I'll give the ring something to kind of sweeten up on. Yeah, could use a little bit more over here. All right, I might hit it one more time. It's this side here, because I bet you it's a little out of round, right? That can happen. Now, let me try setting up. We'll do one more. Just another minute. Let me get my cadence. Well, that'll do it. Let's get it cleaned out. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's all it needed. That was real time. Let me get some more tissues. I'll clean it up and I'll bring it back. But you can see she looks real good. We'll get you in tighter. See the cross? Like at least 60 degrees. You don't want a ridge. You don't want to cause like a line all the way around. Symmetrical line, because then the oil won't be able to pull up and then pull down again. You'll get no oil control. It'll also have issues with compression. Look at that, fellas. I mean, it's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. And everything is looking real good. That's how quick it is. I mean, it'd be nice to take the piston out and everything, but we don't need to. We're just doing the freshening. Oh, she's looking real good. I will do one more thing before I pack it in tonight. So, got myself, what is it, 5/16. Put some, I made like a little flat bottoming tap out of an older tap. I'm just going to run it in. And like some of these, like this one here actually goes through out to the other side and comes to the outside. Some are blind holes. So we're just going to run this tap in just to clean everything. And what I've seen some people suggest is like a lot of the Briggs, you got to retighten a lot of these bolts. They loosen up on like the 190cc engines. And they just do, and they'll blow out a head gasket. And I always retighten them with a wrench. I've seen people say torque them. You can't. Because when you go to torque, what you want is clean threads in here, and you want clean threads on the bolt. Now, these are in pretty good shape, but you could see all the gack. Okay, so, and there's no lubricant. And sometimes what happens is that when it comes through the other side, this area here will be all rusted and gacky, and then the shank gets gacky. So there's friction everywhere. So, and there's no lube. So when we torque, everything gets cleaned. I'll clean the bolts tomorrow. Everything gets clean. And then you use, depending upon the bolt in the kit, you use, if they tell you to use something specific, an oil or something else, right? And sometimes we even have to, because they go into water passages, we have to use Gorilla Snot. But everything is righteous, and then you can get a proper torque value, especially on these little guys, because it's not like I think my aluminum heads on my hot rod, that was like 100 and something foot-pounds. These are like inch-pounds. So it doesn't take much to be completely off on your torque. So there's no point, okay, with using a torque wrench on something like this. Just tighten everything on like a Briggs 190cc. I always say check for tight. Give it a tight. That's a matter of experience. Don't over-tighten it. You just have no idea what's going on. Torque wrench isn't going to do anything. It'll probably pop off and click off right away. So I'm just going to spend a minute, and I'm going to just go over all of these. They're pretty clean, but I'm just going to go run through them. That's all we need to do. I also got a 1/4-20 bottoming, and if you want to do some of the others, you can, but these are the most important things. And like I said, we'll clean the bolts tomorrow. I got to go find the gasket for it. I have no idea what I did, but I thought I put everything together. Maybe it's here. I don't know.
The next morning.
All right, it snowed this morning, so I managed to get them, though. This is the one that we ran that had, it took a while to come back, and that was because it has damage down in here. And I'll get you a little closer in a bit. We'll take a peek in there, but you can see it a little bit. Let me zoom in. It took some water damage. Let's pop this valve. We'll just pop this one. I'm going to go do that now. All right, so this is a different motor. This is from my little Arians points, and I'll tell you, the size of the valve is much bigger. It's almost the same size as the intake, whereas on the newer motors, they really cut down the exhaust valve side, which I think is just interesting. But other than that, it's basically the same engine. So I don't know what's going on with this. Doesn't feel terrible, but it's got a major score in the block. So this block is no good. I replaced the engine on the snowblower with one very similar to this, but it's got a major score. And I think there was something else wrong with it too. It had like no compression. I'll get you in there and I'll show you. So I grabbed another valve. I pulled that valve out. And that's what they look like, right? They start to get real beat. You can see it's got some issues, but it's not terrible. But I measured the stem, and it's about the same size, plus or minus about 1/1000th. So I'm willing to bet, just as a fun exercise, that the valve stems themselves are smaller for whatever reason. They just are. It's about the same size. It really is. So I think we're just going to stay with the valve that we have cleaned up. The other engine ran, and it's all bolted together. I don't think it's worth taking it apart. I guess if you really wanted to care about this, you would want to try to see if you could get either put in a different valve guide and then kind of hone it to fit the valve since it's in good shape. You might be able to get a valve that maybe has a little bit more, less wear, or maybe a little bit wider, thicker. That might be a possibility. And the other thing is you could try to knurl the valve guide if you have a small knurling tool. That would help. But let's just go with this one. Let me clean up. And put a little oil on everything. And it looks good. You can see when it comes up. Yeah, let's put a little oil in. I gotta find my oiler. Hold on. This is like my 1540 oil. That's what it is. Just a few drops. Don't want to make a mess of things. And just to try to get it down. That's all. Remember, we're going to start this thing up real soon, so she's going to splash oil away. I mean, you could put the greases and stuff on there, assembly lubes, but why? It's not going to sit. Pretty goobed up. This is why I was saying, right? You're going to try to torque that. All right, let me get these cleaned up. We'll be back. We'll get them all nice. Now we're going to do a poor man's mill. But first, we got a lot of gook in some of these. Probably not going to be able to see it. But, yeah, you could see a little bit of it. Especially in there. So, calcification, whatever. Just try to clean out some of it. All right. Yeah, I'll get some of it. Let me go through these. I want to get the bigger discs, and eventually I will. But we're just going to do a light, lay it flat. And let's just see. There's a little bit of plastic stuck to this. Yeah, because the batteries for these cameras, they swell up. They don't fit in the camera. They're tight to begin with. And they'll still work fine. They just start to get swollen. And so there's a little bit of plastic on here. Oh, fellas, that looks really good. I don't know if you can see that. Try to keep the... Yeah, that looks great. Okay. There's a little bit here, a little bit there. Let's try to keep it flat. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's cleaning up real good. Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of material over here that is not really being touched. Just a small amount. Tiny little bit here. But I'm just going to spend a little bit of time, and then, yeah, that's more like a polish. So a couple of ways you can do it is like this. And then turn it. I really need a bigger disc. Yeah, they're almost all polishing up now. All the edges and stuff. So I think what I'll do is we'll spend a little bit, I think this one's a little coarser. Spend a little time here. I forget. This one feels like it might not be, though. I think that one felt a little bit more. One of them's 240 grit. And if I want to cut faster, I could just replace them. Yeah, that's good. Get these a little flatter. So this is one of the good used gaskets. And I put on, you know, I cleaned it off, and then I put on some like very, very ultra high temp paint. It's like an aluminized ultra high temp for headers and stuff. I like to do that, right? You know, coat it good. It's fine. Like you see stuff like this on gaskets. Doesn't this thing look good? Last step or last shot. Does it look good, fellas? And this here, all around the edges, I cleaned these up and removed with my little die grinder thing, my whiz wheel. All of these casting flash that was all around this. You can see it was sharp. It'll rip your hand open. So I just did that. Also, they're like stress risers. They can cause cracks. But just nice to clean it up. Look at how nice that all came out. It's all nice and clean. Try to watch the glare. I got my hardware all nice and cleaned up. Let me spend a little bit of time and lubricate it. Just a little bit of, you know, heavyweight oil on it. I want to put a little bit more. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time. Well, let me put some oil on these guys over here. Just oil. And just cinch it down by hand. We're not going to torque it yet. And then we got to work on. We'll come back and we'll install. Is this the right one or this one? I think this one goes here. Something like that. There's a washer. I have a washer here somewhere. I think that one goes there. All right, we can move stuff around. We got the two short ones that go here. And I'll be back in a few. So like I said, we already cleaned these up. If you want, you can put a touch of chain wax on that. It'll stop it from rusting. And this we cleaned up, same thing with the whiz wheel. Just get the rust off, fellas. And here on the sides, right where the bolts go, and then on the contact, because we just want to make sure everything is clean. This way we have, you know, good electrical contact. Really, this is the ground, or what we would consider to be. We'll put more on it a bit, but just to get it started. And a little bit of oil, by the way, on the bolts. So we just want a good ground, a good connection to ground. Chassis ground or engine ground is what we really call it. Look, there's some nasties over here. We'll get that with the whiz wheel in a little bit. Just cover this over before we put it on. 10,000, so we're going to get it good and tight. A little bit of oil on the threads of these bolts. Lift it up, snug it, and then we can straddle the magnet, drop our 10,000ths in, loosen it, let it come down, give it a tight, and we'll just finish it up with the nut driver. Just make sure it's good and tight. You don't want it loosening up. We'll use our stubby to finish it up. These are nice. One of the nice things about these bolt sizes, first of all, they go into steel. And they're bigger than the Briggs. And so it's unlikely you're going to strip them out. But keep those kinds of bolts around if you have some old Tecumseh motors, because if you break a Briggs bolt, you can often run one of these in, just tap it. This, you know, the standoff, right? The bore, you can just tap it and run one of these in, and that's your fix. That's your dinner, as Tara always says. That's your fix for the day. That's your tip. This all looks pretty good. We got a bunch of things to do. Let me get out the muffler and the carburetor. We got a carburetor for it. Let's take a look at that in a minute. Alright, fellas, so I've asked Hipa to send me over a carburetor, and I picked one that's a little bit different. Now, I wanted to mention that one of the problems we have is that many of these carburetors are too big. Now this carburetor is a lot closer to the correct size. Let me get my gauge. Some of the carburetors I was testing with the other motors were kind of big, and like for the larger carburetor engines. So this guy, the one that we tested here, this carburetor is not in bad shape. 809 thousandths. Same as this one. Okay, and we'll get you in closer. So that is, what is that? What, 13/16? All right, and this one's a little bit different. It doesn't have the port drilled for the blow tube, okay, for the primer. So it's only got the choke, but it is fully adjustable. This one worked okay. I think it would need to be cleaned again. We're going to hold it onto the side. The thing I didn't like is that this is moving, and I don't like that. It wasn't leaking, but you know, they can start to leak. We could pull it off and put it back on with epoxy. That's that right angle. This one does not have a right angle, but it is a nice brass. So we may want to route a gas tank situation a little bit different. But the most important thing is it's new, it's adjustable. Okay, I've already been in here and taken a peek at it. You're going to want to make sure that you go in and check all of your carburetors. Doesn't matter who you get it from. I don't care if it's even like a factory carb. You want to go in, make sure it's in beautiful shape, and it is. Make sure there's no debris in there, that's not missing something. All right. Now let's put this back this way. Now there's a couple other things that this carburetor came with, which is one of the reasons why I like the Hipa stuff. It's usually very good. I'm gonna make up some more of this stuff. It leaks out. When it gets warmer in here, if it's cold, it'll start to expand and off gas, and it'll start a siphon, and then it just all comes out. Let me put this back. Helps to have a little bit of lubricant on. Make sure you're all good in here. That's good. Just snug it up. So we're pretty good here. It's just simple. Now, one of the things it comes with, a couple of things. So the gasket where this mounts to the manifold, you get a new gasket, right? So where the carburetor mounts to the manifold, you get a new gasket. I like to spray all my gaskets with either chain wax and or lithium grease, right? This way you can get them apart because we're going to be tuning. And it helps them to seal, it swells them up. Now, if you look at the size of the gaskets, you can actually see the different size of the holes. And this is the correct one here for the other end. So the holes are slightly different sized, but when you look at, like this is too big. And you could see so some of the carburetors, they'll fit, but they're made for somewhat bigger motors. Let's see if we can get it to focus here. They're made for bigger motors. And you think, well, yeah, that's awesome, right? We'll put a bigger carburetor on. No, because you won't get any good low-end performance out of the engine. It'll bog, it'll slog. So you don't want that. You want to get the carburetor the right size to keep the fuel flowing through the carburetor. That's called velocity. So as it comes through the carburetor, you want to maintain good high velocity coming through here, because that suction is what's going to be pulling up through the metering circuit and emulsifying the fuel and turning it into nice spray, right? Atomized, a nice spray. You don't want droplets because you can't burn a droplet. You can't compress a droplet. You can't light a droplet. You want super fine mist, and that's what a carburetor does. And if the velocity drops too much, on the bigger carburetor, because of the smaller engine, right, you'll get a soggy signal, and it won't suck properly, therefore it won't mix properly, and it's got to come up this tube, which is something I was explaining in another episode. So it's got to come up this tube. On the bigger motors, the tube is even bigger. This motor, the tube is not as big, and it doesn't have to go as far. So we got that. Now, the other thing it comes with in this bag are all of the little pieces you're going to need, right, to change the carburetor. I don't want to open it, but it changes the carburetor to this setup, which is with the air box and everything, so you can use it on a snowblower. All right, we're going to hold this to the side for now. The setup we have right now is just a simple choke system, okay? Because we're not sure what we're going to do with the throttle and the fuel and the tank. And then, of course, you get a filter in the kit as well. And I think that's it. But yeah, they got you covered. And we got a plug, too. We got a plug we're going to try out, one of their Hipa plugs. I've used them before. So they're calling it a B3L MCU by Hipa. And that should work for us. New plug. Like I said, I've used them before. They seem to be pretty decent. Only time will tell, right? So we got a nice gasket here. Everything looks nice and clean here. It's pretty good. I'm going to spend a minute. We're going to put this back together again. All my gaskets are sprayed with chain wax, including the face of the engine. So we're going to put that back on, and I'll see you guys in a minute. I'm going to figure out how I want to do this rod here. We're going to keep some of this working, but my thinking is maybe we want to override it, right? So we can have a combination of a governor working in some way with the twist grip, so we don't overspeed the engine. I don't know yet. But first we got to get it running. So I figured, well, to get it running and make sure everything is going, and to make sure the motor is running right, we'll hook up what we have and then we'll modify. I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, so I'll get a closer look at this in a bit, but I've got this set up. At least I believe so. And we need to do a test before I go any further. So I started talking this down. I do it in 3 steps. Let's just finish up at 200. It's 200 inch-pounds. I got it clamped to the table. And it seems like awfully tight, but that's what they want. Let's do a cross pattern. All right, we got basically everything on. I put a little bit of my tomato sauce in, right, my special sauce, gravy, down in the plug hole. Check the plug gap. That's pretty good. Those are grooved plugs too. The grounding electrode is grooved. That's nice. That's a nice little addition. Jeez, we used to pay a lot for that. Let's just see. We're going to spin it over, and we'll check for spark. And I also want to check to make sure that the spark goes off. All right, you ready? Oh, yeah. Plenty of spark. Let's make sure the spark goes off. Yep. Oh, yeah, there's spark. It's sparking here and there. And let's do a quick compression test. She looks good, doesn't she? She's pretty. And there's also some of that gack over here. I want to grab my little grinder thing. Just my die, not my die, well, the die grinder, the whiz wheel thing that I always talk about. Let's see what we have. Not bad. She makes about 50 psi. That's not terrible. Right? I'd like it to be higher, but that's not terrible. And don't forget, it hasn't run, right? We just did a quick little hone. I also put a little bit of chain wax on the gears and everything all up around here. I think what we'll do is let me put oil in it, and then I'm going to spin it over with the oil while it's up on the table. Before I put the plug in, slap oil it, just to kind of get all that fresh oil all up and around. She just looks really good, fellas. Yeah, she's a good looking machine. All right, it's a little bit shadowy over here, fellas. Sorry, we're losing the light, but at least we can do a test. I got some clear fuel hose, so I can see what's going on. I'm going to put the throttle about midway because we don't know. Let's tickle the front with some fuel. Close the choke. And let's just see, and I'm going to run away like a little girl because, I don't want things exploding on me. Here we go. She's not pulling fuel yet, so we'll have to tune it. Not sure what it's doing. Whoa, I think it got stuck. Yeah. Whoa, that was crazy. Let's pull around. Shaking a little bit. Very good. to solve that throttle issue. Let it warm up. Was 39, almost 4,000. It's now 33. Running out of gas. Yeah, she's hot now. So we got it down a little bit below 33. So now we want to. She's broken in again. Yeah, she's starting to get hot. Oh yeah, I can't really touch that. I want to just let it run one more time, and then we'll let it cool and we'll bring it in. Sorry that it's dark out here, but I can't help that, fellas. She's real good. Everything is tight. Everything seems nice. Definitely could use a little tuning. Last time what we were seeing was a lot of blowback from here, right? That's reversion. We'll talk about that later. You're not seeing any of it. It's just nice and sweet. The throttle response isn't great, but we haven't really tweaked or tuned it yet. Let's give it another shot. About 26:30. We really need a gas tank on here, you know, to keep constant flow. And she's got to break back in again. So she wants to be about 26. My concern is that's not really low enough. We want to be about 2,000. The stall speed on the slap converter, you know, the clutch is going to be around there somewhere. All right, I was able to turn the idle screw out, the actual stop, the throttle curve, what we call the curve idle, or the throttle stop. We're at 25. Turned it out a little bit more. About 2380. That's not bad. $2,200, $2,220. I just turned the mixture screw out a little bit. I'm 21, 22. That's good. 2390. That's real sweet. not reading it right. Right about there. About 1950. Leave it at that. That's good. Let it run out of gas. There it goes. Run out of gas. Wow. It's smooth. Look at the way that shut off. That's nice. No more smoke or anything. Before I bring it in, I'm just going to throw a little bit of clear on a few spots. You know, engine clear. Just let it cool down out here. And we'll chat in a minute. Well, fellas, it worked real good. I just wanted to show you. All right, the clear hose. I actually just picked this up off of our customs machine. I like this kind of hose. It's a little more expensive. It's a good size for the Tecumseh because you can slip it in that spot where it's got to go. Everything ran real good. We'll talk about that in a minute. This is definitely backwards. This whole thing here. So, like I mentioned, I figured that would be the case. I want to put this on now. This is in good shape. We're just going to put a little bit of oil and or chain wax in here. That's all cleaned up. So I think what we'll do now is to make it safer and everything. We'll put this on. I'll retorque, and I think that's it for today. Because then we have other stuff to do. So at least the cover blower, cover housing will be on. That'll all be out of the way, and we can move forward. Ran really good. Sorry, fellas, you might hear some of the rain. We're in a wicked storm. It's pretty bad, and I got to go out in a little while. Let me get chat here on this. Okay, so with regard to the carburetor, I went over, I talked a little bit about, you know, the aspects of a carburetor and, you know, Venturi and getting good flow and, you know, a smaller bore size and all that. But here's a couple little tweaks. So whenever I go to sort of start up an engine that really is, there's an complete unknown very often for me. Stuff comes in, doesn't run, and I'm modifying something like this. I actually show turning in the throttle stop screw. So when the throttle goes to close, it closes against that top screw, which is a Phillips head. You know, I like to back that out. You know, turn that screw in and open up your throttle a little bit. This way, you're going to have a little bit more airflow. It'll try to pull a little bit more fuel. You'll have a little bit more to work with, because if it's set to idle, where idle would be after it's tuned, it'll probably never run. Or you might have a more of a difficult time. And if you notice, what I was doing was I kept trying to adjust that. I kept trying to back it out on an idle once I got it warm, and maybe I'd fool with the high RPM mixture a little bit. That's important. You need a carburetor like this. And then I'd come back to the idle and I'd rev it a little bit and let it settle in, and then I'd back out that throttle stop a little bit, try to bring the RPMs down, and it would shake and get a little funny. And then I would tweak the idle jet mixture screw. You go in, you see what we're looking for is lean best. That's what we used to call it. And then you adjust that until it seems like it's idling good, and then you take a little bit of the screw off, right? You let that throttle close a little bit more, go slow, and then you make another little adjustment. So I got pretty close to around 2,000-ish RPM. The stall speed on this clutch is about 23 is when it really starts to engage. So you're not really sure. At about 22, 23-ish, it will really start to engage, and then up from there. That's its stock setting, all right? And that's about where I want it. And I wanted this thing to idle well. And if you listen to it, it does. It idles great. There's a spot in the promo video where Liz is sitting on this thing for a while, and she's just idling rock solid. And you want good throttle response. So once I sort of dial that in, and then I rev it, and I back at, usually you'd be backing out the mixture screw on the bottom, but a lot of times you want to go in first to see if it gets too lean. It'll fart out a little bit, then you back it out. And then when I rode it the very first time myself, I noticed it needed to come out a bit. I did that, and that's in a separate video. And then when Liz and I rode it, it was like the last little tune. And all I had to do is just a touch. And it was a cool day. The nice thing is though, you can make these fine-tune adjustments on these kind of carburetors. So if he's been riding it for a while and it's been broken in, and whether he's out there in the winter or the spring, summer, fall, he may need a little bit of a tweaking. You just reach down underneath, a little quick tool, quick adjustment. But right now, she's sweet. So as of right now. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. I think that's kind of important. That's a dance. These things, fellas, they take a little bit of time to learn how to do. It's a lot of it's feel. It's just experience. Time on target. And I've done this before many times. So you want a really good, sweet signal, because she's not a lawnmower engine or a snowblower engine or anything like that anymore. A rototiller engine. Now she's got to be able to not just run at 1 RPM, but she's got to be nice and smooth and responsive through its entire RPM range. Just a great, fun project to fool around with. A retro hot rod style mini bike that is something a little bit different than what people are doing out there. Does it make it better? No, it's taste. Okay, it's what I felt like doing. Mikey had the idea of it as well. He liked the idea when I ran it past him. I have all these motors laying around. I love to collect them. I'm a motorhead and a hot rodder, and why not put the two together? All right, so check out some of the other videos and some of my other videos here at Archer's Garage.